The New York Islanders lose another game they should have won, this time 4-2 in Calgary. We'll talk about the loss and what it says about this team's playoff prospects next on today's Locked On Islanders podcast.
Your Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to the Monday edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. And thank you for helping to make Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL playoffs are here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. I'm Gil Martin. I've been covering the New York Islanders for 2 decades, and I wrote the book Ice Wars on the history of the Islanders' rivalry with the Rangers from 1972 till the modern era. So glad you could join us today to talk a little Islanders hockey, and we have got a lot to discuss on today's show. We'll break down the Islanders' disappointing defeat in Calgary on Saturday and what it says about where this team is at right now. We'll talk a little bit about Anders Lee finally reaching a major milestone, and we'll answer your mailbag question about the future of the present Islanders captain. We'll also preview tonight's game in Vancouver against the Canucks. That's a 10 o'clock Eastern time start. The game against Calgary was extremely frustrating for Islanders fans. 2 days earlier, the Islanders are in Edmonton going up against one of the best teams in the league, a team that has been to the Cup final in back-to-back years, that features some of the best players in the world, like Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. And they go in there and steal 2 points, mostly because of the outstanding goaltending of Ilya Sorokin. But, they just managed to win that game. Well, then you have a game 2 days later against a team that is not in the playoffs if the season ended today. A team that had already announced that they were looking to deal their best defenseman, Rasmus Andersson. And by the way, Sunday, they did trade Rasmus Andersson. He is now a member of the Vegas Golden Knights. So the game Saturday was his last game for the Flames. But the Islanders stumbled. And it was a lot of the same problems that we've seen most of the season. The defensive spacing was bad. The forecheck wasn't there. The overall way that the team just, from the puck drop, kind of lacked intensity was very, very frustrating. And midway through the game, 12 minutes into the second period, so 2 minutes past the midpoint of the game, the Islanders are down 4-0. Now they got a goal in the second period to make it 4-1. Gave them a little bit of hope, and Anders Lee scores after they pull the goalie in the third period to make it 4-2. But clearly, once you're down 4-0, it's unlikely you're coming back, even against a struggling team like the Calgary Flames. And the biggest issue for me in this game was the defensive zone coverage. The Islanders only gave up 19 shots on goal to the Calgary Flames. But out of those 19 shots, too many of them were high danger chances. And you gave up some odd man rushes. And you gave up some real just situations where 2 guys are in front of the goalie screening him and nobody moves them out of the way. Or 2 Islander defenders cover one guy and another guy is left all alone in front of the net in a prime scoring position and easily puts the puck into the net. it was more of the same. And then offensively, too many giveaways. The passing wasn't crisp. It just wasn't a good effort. And look, I could say, yeah, David Riddick didn't have a great game. And no, he didn't. But he wasn't terrible. Out of the 4 goals he gave up, maybe one of them he wants back? One of them you would say was a little bit soft. But overall, this team just wasn't ready to play, did not have its A game. And it brings me back to this. The Islanders are quite simply not good enough at this point in time to take any opponent lightly. And the inconsistency that we see, playing really well against the Edmontons and the Vegases and the Lightnings of the world, and then laying an egg against struggling teams like the Blues or against Calgary, it tells me that this team is much better than they were a year ago. This is now, I would say, a good hockey team. But they're not a great hockey team. And when you start to think big picture for the New York Islanders, I don't think this team right now is at a place where 1 or 2 trades at the trade deadline, if they were to be buyers, would get them the necessary ingredients they need to become a cup contender. And it's the thing that separates good teams from great teams and then great teams from true contending teams is consistency. Good teams sometimes play really well, sometimes play really poorly, and the result is that they're good but not great. But teams that really know how to win, teams that are elite, teams that are dangerous, teams that you would think are among the top 5 or 6 teams in the league with the best chance to win the cup, those are teams that, even when they don't play their best against the Calgarys and the St. Louises and the Columbuses of the league, find ways to win enough of those games. And really, those games where the team where you watch the game and you just say, this team just wasn't ready to play. They just didn't show up. Those days are few and far between. They happen in an 82-game season. If you go back and look at the numbers from the Islanders' dynasty years, you're going to find a handful of games from those years where, the team got blown out. They just didn't have it. And that does sometimes take place. It happens. But it doesn't happen often. And this team right now, it's still happening on a regular basis, that maybe 1 game a week even. They're just not ready to play and just aren't playing sound fundamental hockey. They're better. They're improving. The prospect pool is great now, where a year and a half ago it was near the bottom of the league. But on the ice, there is still work to be done to build what Matthew Darche said was his goal in his introductory press conference, to build a team that is a consistent Stanley Cup contender, to be the next Vegas Golden Knights, Tampa Bay Lightning, Florida Panthers, Edmonton Oilers, Colorado Avalanche, the Dallas Stars. We all know the usual suspects. It is time for the Islanders to be a little bit patient and understand that they are heading in the direction that will make this team potentially in a year or two one of those top 10 teams in this league. But they're not there yet. I'm encouraged by what I've seen over the course of this season. Compared to a year ago, it's like night and day. But you're not where you need to be yet to be a true cup contender. The best you could do is say we're on any given night, we can beat anybody, so why not us? And that's, again, better than where they were a year ago when it was just like, I hope we can come up with a good game now and then and stay in the playoff race. But if you watch a game between Dallas and Colorado, or Vegas and Carolina, or Florida and Tampa Bay, it's a different level of hockey than what the Islanders typically play. So I'm encouraged by this team. I like what I'm seeing from this team overall. I love the progress that this team is making, but they're not a player or two away from being a legitimate Stanley Cup contender this year. And I think as we get closer to the Olympic break, we're about, 3 weeks away? And we get closer after the Olympic break. It's like, 10 days or so till the trade deadline? Maybe 2 weeks? Decisions are going to have to be made. And where this team realistically is at right now has to be the guiding force for those trades and those decisions. All right, we have got a lot more to get to on today's show. We'll have our hero and go to the game. Plus, we'll answer one of your mailbag questions about Anders Lee after he just got his 300th career NHL goal. We have that and a lot more coming up on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The wild card round is here and gone, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel gives users a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts that you could apply to the bets you like most. Open your profit boost pack first thing on game day and see what boosts you want to apply. The boosts let you lean into your game day instincts, whether you're backing momentum, defense, quarterback, player, coaching. The boosts give you more juice on the bets you already like instead of forcing you to bet something new. Every play feels bigger, and the boosts make your bets feel that way too. You make your picks, then apply your profit boost to go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. And if you haven't already, got to check out our new Everydayer Club. It gives you access to an ad-free version of the audio feed of Locked On Islanders, which is compatible with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and every other major podcast app. And you'll get an invite into the members-only Everydayer Club Discord server, which includes a group chat just for listeners of Locked On Islanders. I'm in there, so I will happily answer your questions or comments. Great to talk with you. So check out the link in the show notes or go to lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer for more information. Congratulations to Anders Lee. The captain finally notched his 300th career NHL goal. Came in the third period with the Islanders down 4-1. It made the last few minutes of the game a little more interesting, to say the least. But overall, finally, you got the feeling recently that Lee was kind of thinking about the 300th goal and that it was kind of bothering him that he couldn't get it and he was pressing a little bit. So at least he's off the schneid. He gets the goal, and congratulations. It's a great career accomplishment for that. He is going to be our hero of the game from Saturday's game against the Flames, and the go to the game has to go to the team defense, which just was, excuse me, positionally awful overall for large stretches of this game. But I got to talk about Anders Lee, and the reason we get a email from Mike in Vermont. Hey, Gil, nice review of the options for Pajot's expiring contract. Now, what do you think about Lee? Before the season started, I was all in on trading Lee on or before the deadline. I really like him, but age, cost, and all that, getting picks and prospects seemed the best choice. But now that we're past the halfway point, in a playoff spot, and generally better than we all thought, I'm not so sure. If the team is going to make any kind of run, we're going to need him down the stretch and in the playoffs. And although he's always been a good leader, it seems like he's been even stronger in that department this year. I just can't get enough of that pond hockey game at his house, and now I want him to retire an Islander. What are your thoughts? First of all, Mike, thank you for the email, and I have mixed thoughts. I am a big Anders Lee fan. I love what he's done for this organization. You're right about the pond hockey thing. It was great, although they kind of looked like they were still playing pond hockey against Calgary, but be that as it may. The problem is, in my mind, as I said in the first segment, that I don't think this team, while they're better, is a player or two away. Every Islander fan goes back to the dynasty and the acquisition of Butch Goring. A lot of people forget they also added Ken Morrow after the Olympics in 1980. So you had two really big pieces, one defenseman, one forward, that helped the Islanders get over the hump. Because for 4 years before that, 5 years before that, semifinal, quarterfinal, semifinal, right? Or no, I made one too many. Semifinal, quarterfinal, semifinal in the playoffs. And they were considered one of the best teams in the league for many of those years, and they just couldn't quite win a cup. And that last missing piece, you added Morrow on defense, you added Goring on offense or to the forward core, and that took them over the top, both leadership-wise and skill-wise. I don't think we're there yet. I think we're a year or two away from being there. I think Matthew Darche still has more work to do when it comes to getting this team to be that perennial contender. And look, Anders Lee is 35 years old. He will be 36 in July. This year, we are already seeing a drop-off in his productivity. He scored 29 goals last year. He's on pace for about 20 this season. Maybe not even. Maybe 19, 18. And I'm not saying that he's not contributing and that his leadership is worth nothing. I think his leadership is important to this team. But when this team is ready in a year or two, he'll be 36 in a year, 37 in 2 years. And while I think we're already seeing a drop-off in his play from last year, which was like this renaissance year, right, for Anders Lee. If you look at the history of NHL players and the way their career numbers go, they are more likely, it is much more probable that Anders Lee's play will continue to diminish statistically in the next year or two. So then you get to the nitty-gritty questions, right? If I'm the Islanders, I also, with Anders Lee, I would sign him to a 1-year extension, 2 years at most. Preferably 1 year if he's going to stick around. And he may say, you know, I can do better than 1 year. Now, I think Lee has a certain amount of loyalty to this organization. I think he has thoughts about, retiring as an Islander, as you said. But ultimately, I think the team is better off still moving on from Anders Lee. Now, if he's willing to take a 1-year deal, let's say at $4.5, $5 million a year, the thought of keeping him grows a little more enticing. Or if you go out and you're getting close to the deadline and the offers just aren't there, they aren't good enough. Look, to me, if you're going to keep Anders Lee, it has to be, number one, he's willing to take a 1 or 2 year deal at a reasonable rate, 4.5, maybe $5 million a year maximum. Number two, the trade market for him is not going to get you a very good return, because the worst thing that could happen is you lose him for nothing. That, he ends up not re-signing with the team and leaving, and you get nothing back, or he re-signs with the team and he just isn't good enough to even justify the $5 million a year contract that he would be getting. I'm still leaning toward trading Anders Lee. It wouldn't be easy. I wouldn't be happy to trade him, but I still think from a purely analytical standpoint, it's the right move. And I'll just say one other thing, because I am torn about this, Mike. You could trade him at the deadline and re-sign him over the summer. People say this, it rarely happens. I get it. But if you really want him to retire as an Islander, it's an option. And that's sort of having your cake and eating it too. So let's say you trade Anders Lee for a second-round pick and a third-pair defenseman who can play right away. Just saying, just as an example. You could always re-sign him in July. Bring him back. Get the pick, the player, and keep Lee. We'll see. We'll see how Matthew Darche handles this situation. There are no easy answers. I don't think it's a clear-cut case where somebody who believes the opposite of what I believe is crazy. No, I mean, there are different ways to get to the top of the mountain, and Matthew Darche has to figure out the best way to get there. So we'll see what happens. But thank you so much, Mike in Vermont, for the question. And, I'm still torn. I really am still torn. All right, more to get to on today's show. We'll preview tonight's game in Vancouver, plus for our Islanders' birthday of the day, a defenseman who was with the Islanders from the mid-2000s to 2020 and who really contributed to the back end during his time with the team and has since worked in a sort of informal position with the Islanders. Let's see if you can guess who this is. It's fairly easy. All that and more coming up on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Indeed. If you've ever hired someone who looked good on paper but wasn't the right fit, you know how important that is. When you want candidates who truly match what you're looking for, trust Indeed sponsored jobs. Hiring? Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored jobs puts your post at the top of the page and helps you reach the right candidates faster. If I needed to hire someone for this show, I'd go straight to Indeed and be very specific about what I need. Real experience, not just a resume buzzword. Sponsored jobs boost your post to the people who are the best match for your role, and that makes a real difference. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed are 90% more likely to report a hire than non-sponsored jobs. Spend more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with less stress, less time, and more results using Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show get a $75 sponsored job credit to help give your job the premium placement it deserves at Indeed.com/lockedon. Go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Do it the right way with Indeed. Islanders and Canucks, 10 o'clock Eastern time start. Just letting you all know that means that we will have our premiere on YouTube for this show tomorrow, about an hour after the game ends. So for those of you who typically stay up, hopefully you can still make it. For the rest of you, it'll still be in your feed first thing in the morning. So definitely check that out. The Canucks, another team that has been struggling. They were coming off a 6-0 loss to the Edmonton Oilers, the very team the Islanders had just beaten on Thursday. And here's a team that is 30th in the league in goals scored, 32nd, dead last in goals against. Their power play is 19th in the league at 19.9%. Their penalty kill, 30th at 72.2%. So maybe the Islanders can take advantage of that. And look, here is a team that has got more talent than results. Elias Pettersson, 29 points in 40 games. He has 13 goals. He leads the team in points. Philip Roenick, 27 points. The goal scoring leader is Kiefer Sherwood. He has 17 goals. Jake DeBrusk and Brock Besser also in double digits, as are Linus Karlsson and Drew O'Connor. But here's the crazy thing. Quinn Hughes, who has only played 26 games for Vancouver and is now a member of the Minnesota Wild, he's still third on the team, or tied for third on the team in points with 23. The line combinations, Pettersson, DeBrusk, and Besser are the top line. David Kampf, centers Evander Kane and Drew O'Connor on the second line. Teddy Bluger, Liam Ogren, and Connor Garland are the third line, and Max Sasson, Niels Höglander, and Linus Karlsson are the fourth line. Marcus Pettersson and Philip Roenick are the top defense pair. Tyler Myers and Zeev Buium are the middle pair, and Tom Willander and Victor Mancini are the third pair. The goalies right now, Nikita Tolopilo and Kevin Lankinen. Injuries definitely hurting this team. Philip Cheadle on IR. Starting goalie Thatcher Demko on IR again. Derek Forbor on IR. Teddy Bluger also. Marco Rossi day-to-day. Kiefer Sherwood day-to-day. We'll see if they are back for this game. This is, again, a litmus test game. It's something the Islanders theoretically should win. Show me that you are improving to the next level by beating a team that you, on paper, should beat. Let's see if the Islanders can get it done. Time now for our Islanders birthday of the day, and today is the 42nd birthday of former Islanders defenseman Johnny Boychuk. The Edmonton, Alberta native, 6'2", 227, a second-round pick of the Avalanche back in 2002, made his NHL debut during the 07-08 season with Colorado, but then moved on to play for the Bruins, won a cup in Boston in 2011, joined the Islanders right before the start of the 2014-2015 season, along with Nick Leddy. And these were cap moves made by the Bruins, and basically a great move by Garth Snow to add Leddy and Boychuk in two separate moves from two separate teams. But Boychuk with the Islanders from 2014, 2015 to 2019, 2020, when an injury prematurely ended his career. He had 54 goals and 206 points in 725 career games, 331 penalty minutes, add 13 goals, 30 points in 104 playoff games, including many with the Islanders. And one of his better games with the team, how about October 10th, 2014, Islanders in Carolina to take on the Hurricanes. And in this game, the goalies are Yaroslav Halak for the Islanders, Cam Ward for Carolina. And in this game, our Islanders' birthday of the day, Johnny Boychuk, opens the scoring on a power play. Kyle Oposo and John Tavares with the assist. That makes it 1-0 Islanders. A minute and a half later, Boychuk and Tavares set up Brock Nelson to make it 2-0 after one. And then on the power play again in the second period, Tavares and Boychuk set up Brock Nelson again. That made it 3-0 Islanders. They go on to win the game 5-3. Halak with 21 saves, but for Johnny Boychuk, a goal, 3 points. He's a +1, and he had 2 shots on goal in 23 minutes and 11 seconds of ice time. Johnny Boychuk, who still does work for the Islanders organization, he is our Islanders birthday of the day. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built just for you. And this is really fun because you'll get Locked On Islanders ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to the link in the show notes to join the club or go to lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer for more information. Looking forward to seeing you in the Discord group. If you have a question, a comment, maybe a topic you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, you could email us at lockedonislanders@gmail.com. If you leave your first name and where you're from, we're happy to mention you on the show when we discuss whatever's on your mind. You could follow the show on X at LockedOnIsles. You could follow me, Gil Martin, on X at Ice Wars, NYR, VSNYI. We'll keep you up to date on all things Islanders all year long. And I am live tweeting during nearly every Islanders home and road game. So join me for some instant insight and analysis. And it's great to talk Islanders hockey with you, game time or anytime. Everydayers, we are back tomorrow. We will have our key takeaways from the game against the Vancouver Canucks tonight, a game the Islanders really need to win. We'll have the latest Islanders news, notes, and happenings. Bo Horvat update, by the way. He will not be joining the team on this road trip, which still has one more game after tonight's game in Vancouver, Wednesday night in Seattle. They are hoping that he will be ready to play Saturday when the Islanders return and play the Buffalo Sabres. So we'll keep an eye on that and see if it actually does happen. Until then, have a great day, everybody. Stay safe. And of course, let's go Islanders.